let's go to the sheet that we're going to put this all on. I'm going to put it on a sheet down here that says building section. I click on building section. Oops. Okay. So I've put that section on at 1/4 inch equal to foot. So the other thing we want to make sure we do is we need to identify these sections. And you can see that mine is called cross section. Yours might be called section 1 or something like that, section 2. We want to make that say what we want it to, so I labeled mine section 1. Now if I want to bring on some of those details, I'm going to go back up, and here are those, under sections, here are all those sections I created. So first thing I want to do is I want to identify what section call out 2 of cross section is, and call out 2 was that center one. Okay. The Eve one was just called call out of section. Okay, I want to rename that, so I right click and rename it. I want to call it Eve detail. Okay, so now it's called Eve detail. So now when I go to my sheet, I can go find my Eve detail. I can drag that onto my sheet, and I'd like to put that up here. Okay. And remember, I defaulted it to 3/4 inch equals a foot, and so it's pretty big. I can actually work with this detail right here. If I click in it, right click, I can activate that view, and now I'm actually in that detail. And you can see that everything on the sheet is grayed out. So now it's like really being back in that it's like going through a viewport back into that detail. And so I could change the scale of it to back to 1/2 inch if I thought that that's what I needed. And now the detail got much smaller. 1/2 inch is probably all right. Let's just say I wanted to keep it at 3/4. I'll just keep it at 3/4 maybe. And now I could go back to my crop window, and maybe I should just shrink this up a little bit and then move that. I can click on this, I can drag this over a little bit. And then I can right click and deactivate the view, and now I'm back on my sheet again. Okay. Okay. So that's how you can manipulate your detail on the sheet while it's on the sheet, and you can see how it's going to affect the space on the sheet. Okay, so I'd want to drag in those other details as well. And you know, maybe I can't get them all on here at that scale. Maybe I can, I don't know. But I'd like to have them all on this same sheet, so I might have to change them all to 1/2 inch equal to foot. I don't know. But I'll let you play with that for a little bit. You know, it's just a matter of going back, finding out what the detail is and what to call it. Let's click on call out call out 2, which was the floor trusses at the party wall, right? So I want to rename that detail. I go back to my sheet. And now I've brought that detail in. I don't want the crop window to show, so I can go in here, activate the view, turn the crop window off, deactivate the view, and I have my detail. And now, of course, you would have that all labeled and so forth beforehand, but if you didn't, you could now label right here too if you wanted to. The one thing you want to be careful of, you don't want to label on the sheet. I know it's possible for me to go to annotate, go to text, and start labeling right here, right? I could label that 2x4 stud. The problem with that is if you go back to the detail, it's not there, right? It's only on your sheet. And so if you modified your detail at some point, now you got text on the sheet, you got text on the detail. You want all your text on the detail itself. So you don't want any text on the sheet. The sheet is just a place to bring details that have text with them. There might be rare instances where you might want to put some text on the sheet that relates just to the sheet, but not to the details or the drawings. Okay, so talking about soffits and fascias on the building, if we go back to, and I have them on mine, but if we go back to looking at my roof plan, and looking at the building, if you zoom in real close, you can see that I have these fascia around my building. I'm going to just delete it, so I'll put a new fascia on it. So when you're going to put a fascia on the building, we can do that from several different locations. We can do it from a plan view like this, or we could actually do it from an isometric view as well. And sometimes it might be easier in some cases to do it this way or the other way. So we'll go back to looking at it from the roof plan. I'd recommend you do it this way if it works. Okay, so then we go to architecture, we go to roof, we hit the little down arrow, and we can go to fascia. And it's going to default probably to the 1x12 fascia. And we don't want a 1x12 fascia on our building. So we could go to edit the type, and we could duplicate it, and we could say flat fascia 1x6. Say OK, and then we could go in here and under the profile, and we could find the 1x6 flat fascia. Once we got that, we could go to the material, and we could say what kind of material do we want our 1x6 fascia to be. And we want it to be wood stud layer, or if we don't want it to be wood stud layer, we could click on that, right click, and say duplicate, and then we get a wood stud layer 1, and then we could rename that and make that wood 1x6. Or wood 1x cedar or something like that, you know, if that's what we wanted. And we could say OK, and now it's changed to that type, so it's generic, but it's still a cedar fascia, and I can say OK. And now I'm going to apply it to the building, and all I have to do is hover over the edge of the building and put it on. I'm hovering and clicking that. So I hover over that, it'll highlight, and then you click, hover, highlight, and click, hover, highlight, and click. Okay, so I'll just put part of it on, and then I'll go to maybe look at it from an isometric to see how it's coming out. And here you can see that I've put it on. And over, where did I stop at? So I stopped at this corner here, and you can see that I have it here and I don't have it here. So, you know, I said we could put it on in this view as well. So I would go back to my fascia. It's going to default to the last one I did, and I could start putting it on again. But because I stopped and started, what happened on the corner? It didn't combine the corner. It didn't miter the corner on. So you really do have to do it all in one step, or you do end up with corners that won't miter. So that one would be wrong. Versus this one, which is right, huh? Because I did it all in one step. Huh? I haven't found a way to fix that, so. Yeah, there is a restart fascia button up here, I think. Okay, let's say, so I've stopped again at this corner. So if I want to start a new one again around this corner and have it miter right, if I go to restart fascia and click this wall, now it worked, right? So instead of going back to picking fascia again, I just hit restart fascia and it worked. Where when I tried this one over here, I went and started a whole new fascia. I didn't restart the old fascia. When it doesn't work, you can always, you know, delete it. And then I could click on this one. Yeah, now my restart is not there anymore, and I can't restart. So you have to kind of make sure you do it all in one sequence. You can stop and restart again, but you can't stop completely and restart. Okay, so now I got my old fascia back on there. So that's how you put fascias on. That is a 1x6 fascia, right? Is that what you want on your building? Or do you want something else, some other kind of fascia? Do you want an aluminum fascia? Do you want some other type of fascia? So then you have to create a new profile for a fascia system that you want to put on it. And we'll get into that a little bit later, but let's just, for now, let's put on a 1x6, 1x8, something like that fascia on your building for now, and then later on we'll have another session where we'll create a new fascia profile and change that one that we have on there. It's easy to change it. All you have to do is change the profile, and all of a sudden it'll change for you. So we don't have to worry about it. We'll put on one now as a 1x6 or 8. And then let's talk about the soffit a little bit. I have soffits on my building right now. So if we go to, I'm going to go to my section, and you can see that I have a soffit on here. If I highlight my soffit and I go to the roof plan, or maybe I should go to, yeah, I'll go to the roof plan, and I'll go edit the boundary of that soffit, and you'll see that it shows up with the magenta line type on there again. And that's the soffit around my building. I have a vestibule that bumps out at a different level, so I don't have a soffit on that yet, but I have the soffit around this part of the building. Soffits that go in flat are different than soffits that go up gable ends. So soffits that go up gable ends you have to do separately. So right now I don't have my gable end soffit, I just have my flat soffit that comes out and returns, but this is a flat, the soffit creates a flat ceiling over my patio in this case. So let's I'll just delete this one, I think. I'll just delete this. Okay, so I took my soffits off my building basically right now. I'm going to go to my roof plan. I'm going to go to a wireframe of that. I'm going to put an underlay on it. Underlay of my second floor. Okay, so now I can see through my roof and I can see my second floor. And I'm going to go put a soffit on. So I'll go to my roof plan. I'll go down and find soffit. It's defaulting to a roof soffit, 1/2 inch plywood with 2x4 stud. I think that's the only one in the program, so that's what we're going to put on for now, and if we want to edit it later we can. And it's going to put it on the roof level. And is that where I want it, at the roof level? I don't know. So at this point I'm going to put it at the roof level and then I'll modify it later. And so I'm going to go and pick these lines. So I'm going to pick the, or I'll draw the lines, I guess. From the back of the fascia, I'm just going to put a partial on here just so. I'm going to start from the back of the fascia. I'm going to do it. I'll do it right here. Okay, I'm going to start out here. I'm going to come down following the back side of the fascia. And for time saves, I'm just going to do a part of the building. So I'll stop here and I'll go over. So I'm just doing this because I'm for speed wise, right? I'm not going to do the whole building. So then I go back and I'm tracing the, I should be tracing the sheathing line, right? Because we want our soffit to go up against the sheathing. Kind of hard to see sometimes. I'll close that. And if you look and if you see the line is in the wrong spot, you can always move it to where you want it to be. And then I'll finish that. Okay, so it put a fascia on there. I'm going to cut a temporary little section through here just to, I can't do that at this level. Okay, let's go to the, I guess I did put it in there. Okay, it showed up on this level. If I click on that section, here is that soffit I just put in there. That one is the soffit I just put in there. And I remember I put it in at the roof level, which was way too high, right? This is the one I already have in there from before, so I'll hide that in the view. And I need to get this one down where I want it. Well, obviously I could just move it. That's one way of doing it, right? Or I'll undo that. Or I could say, where do I want it? All of a sudden I lost my properties thing. And I could say, well, I want to offset it from the roof level a minus, I don't know if this is right, but I'll just say a minus 8 inches. and that dropped it down. So there's a couple of different ways. If you know the exact height, you can use that, or if you want to just move it, you can do that as well. Okay. And if I look at this in fine detail, it should have come up against my sheathing line, which is right, and it's up against the backside of my fascia. If this was an aluminum soffit, I'd probably not want to have that 2x4 lookout or whatever we have there, right? I could go here, I could edit the type, I could duplicate it, I could call it 1/2 inch aluminum soffit. Then I could go edit the material. I could move the substrate plywood up into the core. I could delete the structure. I could change the 1/2 inch plywood to metal fascia, but then I don't want it to say fascia, so I'll duplicate that. Rename that metal soffit. Change the material to I guess it is steel. Okay. It says wood there. I don't know why, but we'll get to that later. We'll say OK. And I'll say OK, and OK, and now all I have is that aluminum soffit. This line that you're seeing in the background here is actually part of the roof. It's not. The soffit is down there. Okay, so that was kind of a quick go through on soffits. You'll have to play with that a little bit to get it to work out right for you, but